So it's been a little while since I talked about a MonsterVerse movie, mainly because I kind of finished all of them, just in time for Godzilla x Kong The New Empire to come out and become the second highest grossing MonsterVerse movie, right behind Kong Skull Island, and I mean right behind, like barely $1 million behind. It's received pretty mixed opinions, with the general consensus being that the action is the highlight of the movie, with everything else kind of falling by the wayside. And since I've not even made a TikTok explaining my opinions on the movie, let alone a full review, I thought I'd give you guys my full thoughts on this movie in an edited manner, and how it's just kind of in the middle. The film begins with Kong's life in Hollow Earth, being chased by some, wolves, I guess. However, some fall down to a trap he set up, which is a pretty good display of his intelligence. However, it's nothing compared to the sheer manliness of Doug, taking his food away and asserting his dominance. Oh yeah, and Kong has a toothache like a broken tooth, so he has to come up to the surface, where we re-meet our characters like Dr. Andrews, who's giving a speech about Kong and Hollow Earth. Bunch of science shit we already knew about, except for some more portals to Hollow Earth being discovered. However, what's also being discovered is that Godzilla has a tendency to stay in places populated with humans, as evidenced by him staying in Rome after killing Skylla? I don't know. In a very short action sequence that feels very trailery, like there was no purpose beyond that to be put in the trailer for like a second or two, which I'm not even sure it was, and to add some Godzilla screen time because, as we'll see, like with the previous film, Kong should have been listed first in the title as he's basically the main character, which is both a positive and a negative, as we'll see later on. However, Kong's earlier trap sets a sinkhole which causes some unusual activity along with revealing a new area. Back with Gia, she's in a base academy in Barbados, where she's having visions about a white Christmas? Andrews gets worried about this, which causes a halfway decent scene between the two that's kind of compelling. Not Bryan Cranston stealing the show compelling, but compelling considering the alternatives. But I guess all that hard work for a decent 30-second convo means Andrew just has to watch a video explaining what we already know. Nothing like watching a documentary about my adopted daughter that I already know everything about. Seriously, we get it. She was saved from a storm with Kong by her side. All the Iwis died. I'm not stupid. You already said this. We then get another convo between the two and... oh, great, I can feel the Miami trashiness radiating off the screen. Look, I'm already gonna blow the shit out of it in GTA 6, so can you not tempt me anymore? I mean, shit, the soundtrack kinda even sounds like GTA. Anyways, Andrews meets back up with Bernie, from the previous film.
I gotta die here with you and sober!
Who's still doing his podcasting shtick and is actually pretty entertaining. I mean, it's Brian Tyree Henry, so of course, but still, it's worth noting. Godzilla wakes up and moves, which just makes me wonder, do the people just accept him and move on with their lives? Or are they in a perpetual state of moving, like nomads? Kong joins the surface in order to get his broken tooth fixed, and that leads us to the best character, but best isn't a high bar, with Trapper, who used to date Andrews, which is funny because the two actors playing those characters were in another movie where they were in a relationship 6 years ago, but they were in like an open relationship, which never works out. It's just common sense. Eventually, all the characters figure out these patterns that Gia's been seeing aren't random, but are in fact distress calls, and that Godzilla's been picking up on them. Eventually, all the main characters, including this guy who's just along for the ride, go into Hollow Earth and meet some flying creatures, which apparently Trapper knows their ship can camouflage as, but the guy flying who joined along doesn't, or doesn't even know what these flying creatures are. Sure. Back with Kong, he gets his old battle axe and sets off to find whatever made those calls. He ends up in this subterranean realm. Oh, so underneath the Hollow Earth, there's a Hollower Earth? Yeah, that makes sense. But he ends up finding a baby Kong, Suko, who's actually one of the better parts of the film. The relationship is pretty good. However, he's not the greatest right now as he bites Kong, leading to a scuffle with some other apes. Kong fights and ends up discovering the wonders of child abuse. The movie says it's funny, therefore I don't have to question my morality. Anyways, he flails a little shit around for a bit, getting some good licks in, and then just decides chucking a rock at them will suffice. One ape almost falls, but then Kong saves him, only for that same ape to backstab him and end up falling anyways. Nice. What was the point of that? Why have him be saved, only just to screw him over, adding absolutely nothing to the plot? Back with the humans, they end up discovering that Trapper is just fine with mosquitoes drinking his blood. Yeah, dude, that's how you end up patient zero for a new disease, dumbass. Oh. Yeah. Anyways. Oh, and Godzilla's also here. Coincidentally, that describes his entire existence in this film. Nice. Really wish his screen time wasn't relegated to Family Guy-like cutaway gags mixed with Mortal Kombat fatalities, but okay, fuck me I guess. Back with the humans, they end up finding some remnants of an Iwi civilization, suggesting maybe they went underground. They follow this trail of water in this temple, which leads to an organic sort of bioelectric hum that acts as a camouflage.
Some kind of bioelectric hum.
It's like camouflage.
See? What they said. They eventually break through as, back with Kong and Zuko, he tries getting the former killed in a pretty funny scene. See, when you have the monsters having personality, it makes it more fun. Plus, since there's no dialogue, you have to kinda use your brain and figure out what's going on. I mean, it's nothing complex, but still, it's something. Hell, it gives them the chance to bond, which, while it doesn't affect the plot that much, it still shows why they end up liking each other at the end, or at least displays one reason why. It also shows how Zuko is used to being treated terribly, which foreshadows the apes later on, and thus, when he gets treatment that's actually pretty good from Kong, he actually is surprised by it, and he gets surprised when Kong offers him food and treats him with respect. So it's some actual good storytelling. Oh, and Godzilla's here too, again. Yeah, remember the whole Kong being a major character is a positive and a negative? Here's the negative. While Kong being a major character makes him more developed and interesting, this leads to too little of Godzilla and too little of his character. He's barely in it until the end, and it seriously pisses me off. You have a giant radioactive lizard. Do something with that. I don't get why the past two films have had such a heavy emphasis on Kong, when Godzilla can have just as much character, if not more. He can emote just like Kong can, if not maybe even more. Who knows? You wouldn't if you were solely basing it off of these movies anyways. But also, yeah, the main characters find the Iwis hiding under and find out they can talk telepathically, with Gia being shown her life and learning that the distress calls were from them, so that's kinda interesting, I guess. They also learn about the villain who, along with some other apes, were trapped in a fire dimension after a great battle with Godzilla and want to escape, with Andrew somehow getting this from these few lines on this scripture. It may seem crazy, but she actually has 2 PhDs, which means she can read the script 2 times and can now recite it with just as much emotion as XQC conversing with fellow philosopher Kai Cenat. Can't wait for her character to leave like Millie Bobby Brown's. Oh, I'm sorry, she has 500 shitty Netflix originals to film in front of a fucking green screen, my bad. However, we're officially an hour in, and we finally get introduced to our villain, Scar King. Wow, terrible pacing considering there's less than 50 minutes left in the movie and it does not get utilized well for his character. Kong sees a bunch of apes just grabbing rocks and bringing them to no place in particular. Huh. Weird. Also, the ape slaves pretty much all have the same design except for this one. He's so adorable I can't get mad at him. I don't know, maybe having him look like he's about to shit himself helps. Anyways, Kong stands up for him and suffers the verbal fury of one ape. But he just takes his ass out, causing Scar King to come out and try to be scary, which just doesn't intimidate him either. While this is funny, it also makes Scar King look like a total bitch if his main character isn't fazed by his worthless existence. It just kind of diminishes any and all scare factor, especially considering the eerie teaser released in April of last year that built him up as his actual threat, or at least made him seem like one. They engage in a fight wherein Kong bodies him hard, which causes Scar King to bring out his prized snow bunny to do something he can't, which is actually affect the plot and be a threat. Granted, this titan, Shimo, I think, is controlled by a whip, but still a threat nonetheless. Anyway, Shimo gives Kong frostbite and he runs away, killing the other apes with the traps he saw earlier. Nice reincorporation. He gets saved by Trapper, who just conveniently has an infinity gauntlet and a serum to cure frostbite. Sure, whatever, this plot sucks. Anyways, Gia tries assimilating with the Iwi tribe, while Trapper and Brittany talk a bit, making their characters more likable.
Like, you look at any isolated tribe or community, how many of them survive contact with the outside world?
I mean, he's not completely wrong. Usually contact with the outside world has negative ramifications. Anyways, one of the apes that fell in the trap actually survived and tells Scar King about what's going on so he can finally contribute to the plot, with maybe 30 minutes left. Damn, this guy's heavily underutilized. Kong likes his new power-up, and to show this, he's gonna try and bring Godzilla down here. Speaking of Godzilla, we cut to him finally doing something. We finally learn all this build-up is to show that Godzilla's late to the Barbenheimer trend. Nice. Way to waste my life. I mean, I get it, he looks cool. Glad he's coming out, but maybe you could have come out earlier and actually affected the plot, you man-child. And he is a man-child, just bullying the shit out of Kong. I thought you guys still had some respect for each other after Godzilla vs. Kong. Maybe think for 2 seconds before doing anything dumbass. Also, has anyone noticed the lack of weight in these fight scenes? It's like watching Pacific Rim 1 and 2 together. You lose the sense of scale, bar a few shots of Scar King at the end, and it's just disappointing. Anyways, Mothra shows up because she's alive, and calms the two down, bringing them down to hollower Earth to fight in a pretty decent sequence. However, before this, I have to mention the sheer amount of damage Kong and Godzilla do to the pyramids, yet they're constantly praised by the main characters, especially Kong, as the protector of humanity. Aw yes, he's a protector, but he'll fling 10,000 people to their death, but it's okay because they weren't funny. Seriously, his arrival literally collapsed half of the place and its population. But, I mean, he's also really only there to ensure humanity continues. He'll make sure some bitches get on your dick, but he won't make sure you don't get stomped after you pump out 12 babies like your Nick Cannon, and therefore continue the human race's survival. Understandable. Anyways, with Mothra being back, it gives this film a plus because I actually really liked her. She was pretty cool in King of the Monsters, so it's nice to see her return and help the main characters. Hell, the fight scene itself is decent, albeit a bit rushed, which is a common complaint in this film. The first half spends too long in these characters that aren't interesting in the slightest, as most of their personality boils to in what way can they help Kong, the far more interesting character, do his stuff, so there's nothing for me to get attached to. And then the second half painfully skips all the shit with the apes and the society down there in the hollower earth in favor of some spectacle, which is cool but again, rushed. The fight gets taken to Rio de Janeiro, wherein it gets revealed just how massive Scar King is, so there's that. Some shit happens, Zuko joins the fight and hurts Scar King, meanwhile the whip he has gets destroyed, freeing Shima over mind control and freezing him. Meanwhile, Kong slams him into the ground, killing him. Cool, don't care. Anyways, the film ends with everything going back to normal. Kong freeing all the ape slaves and becoming a king, earning the title King Kong. Oh yeah, and Godzilla's alive too, doing his shtick I guess, as the movie ends. And that was Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. Meh. One thing I want to note before my final thoughts is, when looking at the box office, I was surprised at the large amount of money, and decided to do something because I was bored. So after adding up all the numbers on Box Office Mojo, it only adds up to $519,502,473, not $567,650,016, which means Godzilla 2014 unadjusted for inflation might have made more. I mean, it's not like a really complaint, it's just something I noticed. It's just kind of funny. I mean, Box Office Mojo isn't always accurate, so it's just like a thing I noticed. I was just bored, so there's that. Anyways, the movie's meh, but the response to it is bizarre. There's people that get so angry when others don't like this film, and it's just like, why? People have different standards and opinions about movies. You like it for this reason, someone might not like it for a different reason. If the second anyone criticizes something we like, we jump on them and label them a hater, it kind of just removes the whole point of YouTube. It was made to connect with people, make them laugh, cry, have fun, feel some sort of emotion that has them leaving feeling satisfied with joining the app that day. If we constantly breed this form of non-criticism like mentality, we'll just hurt ourselves. What's the point in connecting with people if we just want to hurt them? Ironically, it seems, the more we connect with other people, the harder we disconnect from those we love. If you like this film, cool. If you didn't, cool. As long as you're practicing criticism and thinking critically about things and not just hurting others, it doesn't really matter what you take away from this movie, as long as it made you feel something. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can like and subscribe and show your support. I do other videos like this. I'll have a video coming out soon. I've just been taking a bit of a break with a bunch of work going on, so there's that. But I hope you did enjoy this video and watch my other videos and you enjoy them too. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.